appropriate that we have some little kids patting a pony as we're about to talk about buying your first horse, but I'm probably going to expand on that a little bit and actually tell you all about buying any horse, okay? And you know, it's a lot of common sense, and it comes down to, you know, you being a little bit buyer aware, but you know, if you know what you're getting in for, it gives you a good idea, and there's less chance of anyone making a bad decision and buying a horse that doesn't suit them and it all ending very badly and people being upset. So my name is Michelle O'Neill. I'm from Cherry Tree Equine, and this is the delightful Charlotte, who is having one of her first public outings at events like this. So she's actually been pretty good. And you know what, we talk about buying your first horse. If you were to tell me that you were looking at buying a horse, she is not a horse I would recommend to someone looking for a first horse. She's a little green. She is 5 years, just turned 5 years old. You know, this is the sort of horse that you really don't want to go and buy if you're buying your first horse, okay? She's young, she hasn't been anywhere, she's a little bit, her attitude to life is a little bit strong-willed. She's willing to please and she's going to be an awesome horse, but you have to spend a fair bit of time working with a horse like this. And you know what, if you're going out and buying either a first horse or a horse that you just want to go and enjoy and have fun with, this is not really the sort of horse you want to be buying. You guys can see, like, you know, she's not really that happy just to stand and let me talk to all of you and tell you what's going on. She wants to move, like, and you watch this the way this mare travels. If I turn her loose and walk off on her, this mare's going somewhere. Like, she's pretty keen to get involved.
I just left the camera.
She's getting her feet moving. She wants to get out and she wants to travel and she wants to do stuff, you know. She's actually a very quiet mare. She'll be fantastic for somebody who wants to ride a couple of times a week in another 12 months. But that is going to take a little work. And what we're seeing a lot in our business and clinics I go to, I see so many people go out and buy horses that, you know, they might work full time, they might have families, you know, their horses are registered away from where they are. And so they have to make a lot of effort to actually go and ride their horses and work with their horses. And you know, you might only have time to ride a couple of times a week. And you have to be realistic about that. You know, I say to people all the time, it's a bit different for me. You know, these are my life. I can spend, you know, nearly every day working with them. That doesn't suit most people. Most people, you know, they only have time to ride on weekends, or they only, you know, want to just go and do trail rides. They don't need a horse that's high powered and overtrained. They just want a horse that they can go and enjoy. And this is where you have to be aware of what you're getting into and what you're actually buying. I have seen this year in my clinics, I have seen probably, I would estimate 20% of the people that turn up to my clinics, I'm not counting you guys in this, I would say I see probably 20% of the people that turn up to my clinics on horses that are not appropriate for what they want to do. And you know what? They have two options at that point. They can either work with that horse really hard and put a lot of work in and go through, you know, whether it's our training program or the training program the girls are, you know, offering. You know, there's plenty of programs out there. I don't really mind which one you go and use, but, you know, you either have to go and put in that hard work and be willing to put in the hard work, or else you really do need to face the reality that that horse is not suitable for you. And you really might be better off to go and buy another horse. You know, imagine if you were a nervous rider and you were turning up to a clinic, or a beginner rider, and you turn up to a clinic and you got a horse like this. Now, you guys have already seen, she just keeps walking off. You know, if you want to go to clinics and learn and have fun and make the most of it, you don't want a horse that's a bit like this and wants to move and stuff. Like I said, you know, there's a bit of a story to this mare. But, you know, we actually have this mare at the moment because, you know, I will eventually probably sell her on. I bred her, and then I sold her, and we've got her back. And as a competition mare for me, with what I do, I don't think she'll make it. But I think she's going to make somebody an absolutely gorgeous horse to ride. So I think, you know, You know, but that's not today. Like you guys can see, I couldn't safely put this mare on the market today for someone who wanted just a pleasure horse to ride. Okay, so you can see she is not at that stage in her training. And you know, I really want people to be aware that when you go to buy a horse, you know, we all think the best of people, unfortunately, and there are people out there who do not have your best interest at heart. And for whatever reason, they might sell you a horse that is not suitable for what you want. And you know what? That's life. It's the same in used cars, it's the same in houses, it's the same in everything. So you need to be a little bit buyer aware, and something I would like to see people do a hell of a lot more of when they go to look at horses is take somebody who's experienced with them. Take somebody who can actually stand back with an objective mind and look at the horse you're buying. You know, we fall in love with these critters. You know, like it's that there's that emotional attachment to horses, and there's emotional attachment to horse riding, and especially, sorry ladies, for all the ladies out there, you know, whether it's the little girl buying her first horse, or it's the you know, older lady whose children have flown the nest and she's looking for a horse that she can have fun with and can be her companion. We go, we see a beautiful horse, and I'll give you an absolute classic example of what's going on here today. Over there in amongst all those horses, I've got 3 horses installed side by side. I've got 2 chestnuts and a buckskin. When I just went to catch this mare, nobody was patting the chestnuts. The buckskin has got a fan base 6 foot deep. There are people lining up to pat that critter. He has the ugliest head of the 3 of them. She's not real pretty, so you can imagine how bad he actually looks. You know, and yet he's buckskin. You know, they are like people. There was kids and parents. I had to like push gently, politely, push my way past to get to this mare. Because everybody is standing there, and I know some of the other girls have got some coloured horses here too. You know, the 2 poor chestnut horses, like nobody's even seen them. And you know, this mare's pretty quiet. The big horse is standing in between him. He's the most, he is the love of my life. Warren's not around. You know, the big chestnut gelding that's standing in he is the love of my life, that horse. He is my dream horse. But because he's chestnut, no one's even noticed him standing there in the yard. Like, and that's what happened. That's what happened. People go and they go and look at a horse, and there'll be and you know, paint horses are a classic example. Anyone who's ever gone and looked at, like, say, put this man next to a paint horse. I'm not knocking paint horses, by the way, but anyone who put this man next to a paint horse, you look at all those pretty colours. Nobody sees the conformation. They just see a black and white horse or brown and white horse. The thing I've had paint horses turn up the clinic that were so badly conformed that, like, they just should not have had a saddle on them. But the funny thing was, nobody noticed that because they just saw colour. So, you know, if I had my way, what I would actually make it a rule, every person who went and bought their first horse would have to buy a plain one. That would stop a lot of the romance, you know, and it's a bit like, you know, it's the same. It doesn't matter how old you are. We all make mistakes. We all fall in love with a pretty face or a pretty colour or whatever, you know. Like I said, this little mare in another 12 months will be a horse that anybody could ride. You know, but I'll bet you there'll be a lot of people who won't look at her because she's like well put together in the body, but she hasn't got the prettiest head. At the end of the day, she's just a boring old plain chestnut. So I really want, there's 2 basic rules. If I'm telling people they're going to look at a horse, whether it's their first horse or their 50th horse, there's 2 basic rules that I tell people. The first one is leave the horse float at home. The first time you go to look at the horse, do not take the horse float because it just makes it a little harder for you to make that wrong decision. It makes it a little harder when you turn up somewhere and you look at this horse, you fall in love with it, If you actually have to walk away from that sale and drive home, and I don't care if you have driven 4 hours, 8 hours, or 30 minutes, you know, if you have to drive away and then either come back to get that horse or else organise for transport to get that horse, sometimes that will break that magical bond that brings us unstuck. The other basic rule that I think all people should do when they go to buy a horse is take someone else with them. Now be very careful who you take. Do not take the local horse collector. Because chances are, if you have someone who, you know, that person who has 6 horses in their paddock and they think it's not enough, and you know, meanwhile they might not, you know, they're battling to pay to feed themselves because they're spending all their money on horse feed. You know, if you take that person with them, they probably don't have the money to buy another horse, so they're going to project their horse purchasing dreams through you. They will encourage you to buy that horse to make them feel better. So, you know, you want to get someone like me who's pretty harsh on reality about things like that. You know, I can't tell you how many horses I've owned in my life. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I love them all dearly, but I am able to break that attachment, okay? I know at the end of the day, you know, and I can see clearly when people fall in love with horses that are just not suitable, okay? And you need someone who's pretty realistic like that. You need someone who's pretty realistic like that, who can actually see beyond the romance and actually say to you, yeah, no, I know you're in love with him, but that left front leg is kind of bent at 90 degrees and that horse is probably going to break down. But on that point, I will forgive conformational faults if I can get a better, if I get a horse with a better character or a better demeanour, if I'm not looking at top level competition. You know, for me, in my game, horses with conformational faults are not great. You really wouldn't think they could hear each other that far apart, would you? I can see Squiggles from here. I can't see the buckskin might I add, because his fan club are still there patting him. You know, for me, I can't forgive conformational faults if they're horses for me. But if I'm looking at a horse for someone who just wants to trail ride or do little clinics or even little low-level competitions, you know what? I can forgive conformational faults, okay? But I need to know, and this is what you need to know, you actually need to be aware of what you actually want to achieve. And that may change over time, don't get me wrong. You know, you may start out just wanting to build your confidence, and then you may actually get to the point where you want to go and do some competitions. You know what, when you get to that point, you either look at trading up and getting another horse, or you look at what level of competition you can achieve with your current horse. She's never seen an helicopter. So, you know, you need to go into this horse buying deal with a goal and an idea of what you're trying to achieve, okay? But like all goals, they will change, and you will change your direction over time, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and I really like to see people go and buy older horses. I like horses that have been around and done a lot. And you can get those horses, you know, you can get them. I sold one of my really good horses last year to a girl who'd lost her confidence. And you know what, like, he wasn't going to get where I needed him to go, but she needed a horse that was going to build her confidence and keep her safe. He was perfect for that. And you know, she has come ahead leaps and bounds since that time. And you know, that's all you can ask. Is this going to run out of battery? You know, if you're looking for a horse, just make sure that you are actually looking at the horse that may help you achieve what you want to achieve. And the other thing is, you know, people talk about buying horses, and any of you who have horses already know this. Actually going out and buying the horse is the cheapest thing. It is the cheapest thing you can do. That driving down the road and going to someone's place and handing over your money to buy a horse, that's the easy part, okay? that's the simplest thing you will ever do in your life, as far as giving away money goes, because from then on it just doesn't stop. Okay? It's the vet bills that come after it. It's the lessons that come after it. It's the ongoing, it's teeth, it's feet, you know, it's vaccines, it's drench, it's all of that stuff that you need to be prepared to spend money on, okay? And you have to sit back and do a budget. And I tell kids, if kids are looking at getting their first horse, and you know, kids look at getting their first horse and they think it's all going to be light and sweet and easy. And you know, I like to tell them to sit down and work out a budget. And you know, it's not hard to do. You can start to sit down and start to work out where the money goes. And the other thing is, it's a bit like anything we do in life. We have a tendency to underestimate how much stuff is going to cost. And so, you know, you probably need to allocate more money than what you put into your budget, because, you know, I've got horses at home that have got $6,000 front legs. You know, when I bought that particular horse, I never, ever thought I was going to spend $6,000 putting a front leg back together. And you know what? That was just something that happened, you know. And it does happen, you know. And it can happen in horses in the best of paddocks with the best of facilities. So that's where you need to be prepared that there's going to be unexpected surprises. Well, I think one of the things that most people overlook when they look at buying a horse is they overlook the fact that, you know, things like getting their teeth done. You know, I cannot tell you how many people come to my clinic and I ask them and say, when did you have your horse's teeth done? And they say, oh, well, when I bought it 5 years ago, the lady said it had just had its teeth done. You know, the stock standard thing for these sort of middle-aged horses is every 12 months. If it's a young horse or an old horse, and I hope anyone who's looking at buying a beginner's horse is considering old horses, you know, if it's a young horse or an old horse, the recommendation is every 6 months. Now, you know, I've got a vet at home who's a trained equine dentist. He starts at about $180 a pop. Does a great job. I do not ever want to complain about the job he does for me. But you know what? He is not cheap. And you know, that's okay. Like, you know, you have to be willing to factor those costs in. Talking about old horses. I have so many people come up to me when they go and they're looking for their first horse, or they're looking for, you know, their confidence builder horse, or, you know, they're looking for a horse to return to after having a long break from riding. And so many people say to me, like, you know, I might know of say a 12-year-old horse or a 15-year-old horse that's for sale. And I say, oh, I know of this horse. Oh, no, it's too old. Really? Really? You know what? A 12-year-old horse or a 15-year-old horse, you could get 10 years out of those horses if you're not, you know, trying to go to the Olympics. You know, those horses have plenty of age left in, plenty of time left in them, and chances are, if you look after them with correct nutrition, you look after their teeth, you look after their wounds and general health, those horses are going to last well beyond what you need them for, especially if it's a beginner rider. I recently saw an incident where somebody bought a horse from a horse sale and put their 4-year-old child on it. They didn't even know if the horse was broken in. You know, I don't know about you guys, I've got one son, he's nearly 3. You know, like, he's cost me a fair bit of money to get to nearly 3 years old, and a fair bit of heartbreak and a fair bit of time. I kind of like him. I don't really want to get rid of Spencer yet. When he's 18, maybe, you know, he'd probably go. But you know what, like, I don't understand, I really do not understand how people think it is acceptable to put kids on horses that they don't either know how well they're handled or they're not well handled. Okay, and I'm getting older and crankier. I actually don't have a lot of time for that deal anymore, you know. And if you, and I'm sorry if I'm going to offend anyone, but if you are stupid enough to put your 4-year-old child on a horse that you don't even know if it's broken in or not. You know, I don't know that I don't know. I just don't know. You know, kids break, and they break easily. And the other problem that comes out of that, like a 4-year-old child would probably bounce okay, but you know, and especially for any of our lady riders or gentlemen who, you know, are getting to the better part of their life, you get a wreck off a horse like that, how do you come back from it? It takes a long time. And, you know, you have to work really hard at what you're doing to overcome those sorts of issues. So, you know, and that's the thing, you know, you might pick up a horse at a sale for a few $100. Nothing annoys me more when people are looking for confidence builders, and you know, they're looking for a confidence builder, and they, you know, they ring you up or whatever, you see them at a clinic, and you know of a horse that's for sale, and the horse might be, you know, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and they say, oh, it's too much money. I don't know about you guys, but you know, if you're just enjoying your riding and you know, and if you work out, let's say you go and spend, let's go and say you spend $5,000 on a confidence builder, okay? You go and spend $5,000, and then you ride that horse every week for the next 5 years. Now, I'm not very good at maths. You do the maths on how much that horse has cost you for every ride over those 5 years. You know, like that's 50 odd rides in a year. You know, like that's 250 rides over 5 years. Divide $5,000 by 250, and the horse should last you longer than 5 years anyway. But you know what? On a per ride basis, that doesn't end up costing you very much at all. And this is what sort of gets me a lot. People get to the point where they think about that initial outlay, and someone says, you know, the horse is $5,000 or whatever, and they go, that's too much money. Well, you know what? If you don't want to spend that kind of money, you better be willing to put some more time in and get your horse a little better broke by doing the work yourself. So I really don't want to sound like a grumpy old fart, by the way, but you know, like, I see this so often when it goes wrong. You know, I'm the one that when it all goes wrong, people come to, and then I have to kind of fix it. And I feel sorry for people. There's a lady at a clinic here recently. I come to Murrumbateman and do clinics a couple of times a year. And anyway, there's a lady who was here, and she bought this horse from Victoria. It was a really nice horse. Like, I liked it. It was a horse that I would ride. It was way too much horse for what she wanted, and she was shattered. Like, she was absolutely devastated because she was going, well, you know what? What do I do? And I know she's put the horse on the market. She may not buy another horse. You know, she has, it's actually shattered her confidence that much that she may not buy another horse. You know, and that's really sad. That's really, really sad. You know, and she'd come to the clinic, she'd come with an open mind. Like I said, like, I really like the horse, but yeah, it just, you know, and I see that a hell of a lot.